You are not who you think that you are. You just think that you're something that you're not. And because you think that you're something that you're not, you're abusing yourself, you're punishing yourself, you're saying that you're inadequate, you think that you need to be fixed. But that's just the way that you see yourself. That's just the way that you see yourself. That's a story that arises about this identity of you. That is not true. That is not true. It's not true because that's the way that you're seeing, and the one seeing cannot be the story. The one seeing is a loving awareness. The one seeing is a compassionate one. The one seeing is the one that's accepting. And when you start to accept that you are love, that you are this compassionate awareness, and that you can never be any story that arises about you, you really start to feel different. Yo, welcome back to another video. I hope you're having a beautiful day today. And on today's video, I want to share with you the game that we're playing. We're all playing this game, but since we don't know that we're playing it, most of us are losing. But when we figure out how to play this game, we start to come back home to our true nature. We start to feel more love and peace in our experience, and we start to see that we're not seeing with our eyes, we're actually projecting with our eyes. And when we clean up our perception, we start to navigate life in an effortless way. We start to feel more well-being. We start to feel more connected to life because we are a part of life. And the game that we're playing is a game of seeing through the illusion of separation. Seeing that everything that we see around us is not out there. It's how we're projecting it. It's how we see it. And when we change the way that we see things, the things that we see change. And so when we start to really tap into this, we come back home to our true nature. We come back home to the true nature of oneness. We come back home to our true nature of love because we start to see that there is nothing out there against us. There is nobody out there trying to get us. We are not separate from the life that we see. We are not separate from the seasons that change. We are not separate from the oak, not the oak. We're not separate from the acorn that turns into an oak tree. We are part of this universe. We are part of the benevolence of this universe. And quite frankly, if we want to take it to a scientific point of view, we're all made up of neutrons and electrons and protons. We're made up of the same things that the tree is made up of. We're made up of the same thing that the star is made up of. We are literally taking in the oxygen that the trees pump out, and the tree is taking in our carbon dioxide. There is no separation. And it's really great because in our experience, we're always having opportunities to see through separation. And I want to share a story with you. So maybe 3 or 4 days ago, I was having a misperception of my girlfriend. And I started to write about it. And I was like, I see her this way. I see her this way. I see her this way. And then a light bulb came on. I was like, whoa, I am not separate from love. I am not separate from my partner. So the way that I'm seeing my partner is not who she is. It's just a story that I'm making up about her. And I don't like my story about her. It's not that I don't like her. I don't like the story that I'm telling about her. And so if I want to change this relationship, if I want to change the way that I'm relating to her, guess what? I need to change this story because I don't like this story. And when I changed the story, I felt closer to her. When I changed the story, I came back home to love because I started to see that she is not separate from me. We are one. And the way that I'm seeing her is the way that I'm seeing myself. And I don't want to see myself like that. So I'm not going to see her like that. Can I get a shine? Shine. And that's the game that we're playing all day long. We're playing this game of what is this story that is playing in my head that's making me feel separate from the person in front of me? What is this story that is playing in my head that's making me feel separate from my girlfriend, from my mother, from my brother, from my sister? What is this game that I'm playing? What is this? What is the story? Because when we see through that story, we see that it is me. It is me. I am seeing it this way. That's not how it is. I'm seeing it this way. Another analogy, there are two people that are standing in front of the same tree. One person says the tree is ugly. One person says the tree is beautiful. And both of them are wrong. It's just an object. It's just a tree in front of them. And if they believe that the tree is ugly and the tree is independent of themselves, they will literally go around believing that it wasn't them that created the ugly tree. You created the ugly tree and you created the beautiful tree. And that's the beauty of our experience. We get to create it however we want to create it. We get to create the things that we see. We get to create our partner as someone that's beautiful, as someone that we love being around, as someone that we adore, or we get to create them as someone that we get annoyed by, someone that we don't want to be around, someone that is just nerve-wracking. It's an opportunity for us to come back home to love and see and feel our true nature as one with everything, as one with life, as one with God, because we're not separate. We are not separate. We're made up of the same stuff. And when we start to realize this, when we start to feel this, it just clears up so many misperceptions, because this even goes further to say that you are not who you think that you are. I've said this so many times before. You are not who you think that you are. You just think that you're something that you're not. And because you think that you're something that you're not, you're abusing yourself, you're punishing yourself, you're saying that you're inadequate, you think that you need to be fixed. But that's just the way that you see yourself. That's just the way that you see yourself. That's a story that arises about this identity of you. That is not true. That is not true. It's not true, because that's the way that you're seeing, and the one seeing cannot be the story. The one seeing is a loving awareness. The one seeing is a compassionate one. The one seeing is the one that's accepting. And when you start to accept that you are love, that you are this compassionate awareness, and that you can never be any story that arises about you, you really start to feel different. You start to be different in this world. You start to change the way that you describe yourself. You start to change your self-definition. You start to change your self-image. And when you see a story that arises that doesn't align with this new self-definition, you discard that story, because that story is no longer in alignment with the love that you are. That story is no longer in alignment with the oneness that you are. That story is no longer in alignment with the peace and the beauty that you are. So you can throw that story away, and you can put on a new story that is more fitting with love. You are beautiful. You are worthy. You are adequate. You are valid. You don't need anything outside of you to validate. You are literally one with the universe. You don't see trees out here trying to prove themselves. You don't see trees working hard, trying to show that they're valuable, trying to show that they're worthy, because just being is worthy. Just being is worthy. You're sitting in a chair right now. You're watching this video right now. You're breathing right now. Your heart is beating. Your lungs is pumping. Your lungs are pumping. Just being is worthy. That's your value. And you're not separate from anything in this universe. Question. Do you think the sun is worthy? Do you think the sun is valuable? And if your answer is yes, then that's you too. That's you too. Do you think the moon is valuable? Do you think the moon is worthy? If you say yes, that's you too. And if you say yes, that's about everybody that you see around you as well. They are just as worthy as you. And when you start to see yourself as one with these individuals, as one with life, as an expression of the one source and the one God, you come back home to your true nature, which is love, which is acceptance, which is benevolence, which is grace, which is understanding, which is God. And that's what we're doing. We come back home to the lightness and the love that we are. And it's really, really cool, because we have a GPS and we have this guidance within us. And this guidance is always helping us come back home to who we really are. Because when we have a misperception or a misunderstanding, it feels stressful. We feel the tension in our body. We feel turned off. And we think that it's a thing outside of us, but it's just your perception. It's just your story. It's just your point of view that's turning you off. It's not the outside world. It can't be the outside world, because there is no outside world. Well, let me backtrack real quick. There is a physical world, but our perception is what puts a blanket over the physical world. There is a tree there, but we put the blanket of a beautiful tree. We put the blanket of an ugly tree. We put the blanket of a tall tree, but it's just a tree. And that's like everything else in your experience. We get to make up what it means to us. And we get to make up a story that is in alignment with love when we choose, when we want to feel lighter, when we want to shine brighter. That's our opportunity. So everything is an opportunity for us to remember who we are. Everything is an opportunity for us to remember that we are worthy, that we are loved, and we'll start to pour this worthiness and love outside. We start to feel the joy bubbling up within inside of us, because that's who we are. We start to feel the beauty of being right now as you sit down. So that's it right there. That's the end of the story, and it's time to shine. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment if something sparked within inside of you. and I'll see you in the next video. Much love. Peace.